if there was ever a question in your mind about the reliability, quality or even durability of this new Classic 350, then you, like many others before you, would have good reason to find out a little more about this new bike from Team Royal. So before you decide to lighten the load on your wallet, you may wish to hang fire for a few minutes as we take a look at the good and the maybe's not so good when it comes to this new bike from Enfield. But let's get into that a little later. I think the appeal from this little bike from Enfield comes partly from its unassuming charm and partly from the wish by its riders not to get too bogged down in all the trappings that comes with a lot of modern bikes, that will often serve as nothing but a distraction from the real reason most of us love to ride. Now please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here, as this, the new Classic 350, has a few nifty modern tricks up its sleeve, like a two-way ABS and a tripper navigation system. But here's the thing. They only ever show themselves when you need them the most, and for the most you wouldn't even know they were there, which is exactly how they should be. Now I'm sure lots of you already know, like its sibling the Meteor, the Classic was another collaboration by Royal Enfield's design team in the UK and India that incorporates Enfield's new J Series engine that we'll come to in a moment. So just like the Meteor, this little 350 is an easy-going solid ride that partly comes from its twin downtube frame and a pair of new beefy 41mm forks with twin adjustables out back that keeps everything simple but effective, just as it should be on a bike like this. So apart from its looks, there are a few differences on this bike compared to the Meteor, like an extra 1.6 inches of seat height. Now to some, that might not sound like a lot, but believe me, it can make all the difference if you're a bit taller. The Classic also gets a smaller tank that holds around half a gallon less than the Meteor, and it's just shy of 10 pounds heavier. Now to be completely honest with you, you're probably not going to notice the extra weight on a day-by-day basis. But for those of you that do like to spend your time on the road and not filling up, then half a gallon less may make a bit of difference. But that's probably something you need to make your own mind up on if you ever buy one. So looking at this new 350 from a distance, you would be forgiven for mistaking it for the older Classic 350. You see, that's how little Enfield deviated in its design. Now this is something that I'm pretty sure will divide you, as some people will like it as it is, but some people may see this as a missed opportunity to do something new with the bike, and I'm sure you'll let us know about this in the comments section below if that's how you feel. But what's really different though is the way the motorcycle's been put together, and at the risk of repeating myself, the build quality, the fit and finish and the new paint quality all seem like they've seen a significant improvement over its predecessor. So yes, it is powered by the same unit as the Meteor and produces an identical peak power of 20 horses at 6,100 RPM and 20 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. However, the Classic does have a different throttle response thanks to an altered gearing ratio and fueling setup. But all that aside, the old Classic 350 was never meant to be a sporty affair, and it's no different with the new J Series engine either, but the one thing we definitely can say is it has a beautiful thump, and enough power to get you out of trouble when you need it to, and it won't guzzle through a full tank of juice too quickly. Now one of the biggest highlights of this little 350 is the riding experience it gives, and a big part of that comes from its new riding ergonomics that's in part been achieved by shifting the handlebars a little further ahead that somehow seem to give the bike and the rider a little more room. It also has that new seat that's really comfortable and when combined with its new suspension makes any sort of long distance touring a breeze. Now like its sibling, it also has new Biber calipers that give the Classic a lot more braking power and confidence than before. They have ample bite, feedback to the rider's good, and they're not really impacted too much by the ABS system. Now I totally understand that the purists out there will be shaking their heads in disgust at this next section, but if like many owners you like to tinker a little, then this, the 350 is a great bike to modify owing to its simplicity of build. Not to mention it has a massive array of custom bolt-on parts from literally hundreds of different custom parts manufacturers that can help you transform your bike and express your own unique style in many ways. I guess on the whole, though the new 350 is a massive improvement over the old model, not to mention it does what it's meant to do so well, it's easily the model to buy in the 350 segment, and has also seen an upgrade in no matter which department you talk about, be it handling refinements, build quality, braking and so on. And while yes of course it does look similar to the old model, it is definitely an entirely new experience to have. Now, As promised, getting to the not so good part as we mentioned earlier, the first thing to say is the tripper navigation system doesn't come as standard like it does on the Meteor. Now I guess this in itself's fine, as it's going to help keep the price down if you don't want one. But the thing I don't like is if you do want one, they only seem to be available on the most expensive models like on the Chrome edition. Although if I have got that wrong, I'm sure someone will let me know in the comments. Now for me personally, I think from front to back they've pretty much got this bike right. And the only other thing that I have is, it appears like the Meteor 350, for some reason it's also limited to just over 70 miles an hour. Although to be honest with you, when I mentioned this on the Meteor review that I did, lots of people pointed out that they didn't care about that, as the riding experience it gives more than makes up for it. Anyway, laying that bone of contention to one side for the moment, do you think they should have changed the looks of the bike a bit more? Or is it perfect as it is and always has been? Or indeed have you, or would you ever consider modifying or customising one? So, comments in the usual place please, as we'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences with this bike. Thumbs up if you liked, sub if you want, stay upright guys, and until next time, I'm out of here.